Hi everybody, Tara Whitney here from Whitney Consulting. We write grants, tenders and business cases. You can find out more information about us on the website whitneyconsulting.com.au. Whitney is Whitney, whitneyconsulting.com.au. We'll just wait for a few people that said they were going to come on board to get on the live, and then I will get started. Today we are talking about how to sell your project to grant funding bodies. So it's the topic of today's Q&A, but these Q&As, you can ask whatever it is that you'd like to ask. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below and I will answer your questions, anything related to grants or tenders. If you're writing a tender and you just want to pop on and ask a question, that's not a problem at all. We can answer those for you. But having a topic I just find is a bit helpful. So we'll talk about how to sell your project to grant funding bodies. And I'll just get started. Give me 2 seconds. We will get rid of you and then I'll get started. All right, so as I was saying, we are talking today about how to sell your project to grant funding bodies. So if you have any questions, pop them in the comments below and I can answer them for you. Any questions about grants at all, not a problem. Now, when we are writing our grant applications, we must be aware that it is a sales pitch. It is a persuasive writing exercise. So for all of you that have kids in primary school and they're doing persuasive writing, that's exactly what your grant writing application needs to be. It's a persuasive writing exercise to sell your project to the grant funding bodies. So how do we do that? How do we sell our project? We do that in a couple of ways, but the most important way to sell your project is to make sure that the results of your project, the outcomes or the benefits of doing your project, match or align to the grant program objectives. Every grant program has a set of grant guidelines that will talk about what the program objectives are. It will say the grant program objectives or the aims of the grant or the intended outcomes of the grant program are, and it will detail what they are intending to get out of the grant program. That's the why they are giving money away. That's what they're talking about when they say the grant program objectives or intended outcomes. You need to match the benefits and the results of your project to those objectives. So if your project outcomes, if the results of doing your project don't match to the objectives of the grant program, they're not going to give you the money. That is the point that you need to sell the most. You need to make it very, very clear in your grant application how your project benefits, your project results or outcomes align to the objectives of the grant program. So have a read of the grant guidelines, have a read of all of the objectives that they have written down there, look at what you're going to result in your project and align them. Use the same words, use the same terminology. So for example, if the grant program says that the objectives of this grant program are to engage youth to have to give them more life skills, more and healthy lifelong skills or something along those lines. When you are talking about your project, you say this project will engage with the youth in whatever your location is to provide them with lifelong skills to ensure they live a healthy life. Use their words. So make sure you match them very, very clearly and make sure it's really clear so you can actually state this project will meet the grant objectives of X, Y, and Z by doing this. You don't have to meet every single objective of that grant program. You just have to meet one or two really well. But this is how you best sell your project. If you can sell to them that your project is going to meet its objectives, then you are telling them they should give you the money because you're going to give them what they're paying for. So that's the first thing. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below and I will answer those for you. The second thing about selling your project to the funding bodies is to make sure you sell yourself. You need to explain that you are capable. So you need to show that you're a capable organisation. You might have a great project that is absolutely nailing their objectives. It's completely aligned to their objectives, But if you as an organisation can't deliver the project, or if you can't deliver it for the money that you've said, the budget that you've said you will in your grant application, if it can't get done, then it won't be successful. So you're wasting their money, so they're not going to give it to you. So you need to show them, you need to sell yourself in the application and show them that you're capable. So you do this by showing that you're a capable organisation. So as an organisation, you've got previous experience in grant funding and previous experience in projects, in a similar project to the one that you're doing would be great. Also by showing that you're a capable organisation because you've got all of these policies in place, these processes, these documents that guide how you do things and make sure that you do them properly. So that's another way of showing you're a capable organisation. Another way is by showing that you've got capable staff. So talking about who the actual project manager is, actually mentioning it, saying the project manager is going to be Max. Max has got a degree in this or qualifications in this. He's managed X projects before, and list them. You know, in 2019, he did this project and it was worth $350,000. In 2018, he did $1 million project on this. So you're showing that you have capable staff and they're going to manage the project and therefore it's going to go well. So talking about the governance as well, talking about the governance of your organisation. So you've got a board, you have project reporting or project status updates once a month or whatever it is to the board so that they can oversee the project. They can look at it and make sure that as it goes along, you are sticking to time, you are sticking to budget and you're sticking to scope. You're not doing what you said you were going to do in the application. So these are two areas that you've got to cover to sell your project to the grant funding bodies. You've got to sell your outcomes, sell the results, the benefits of your project, making sure they align to the objectives of that grant program. They're paying for these objectives. They're paying to have these things happen. So you need to show them how your project will make them happen. And the second thing is selling yourself, selling you as an organisation and whoever your staff are that are going to manage the project, making sure you're showing that you are capable. So these are the areas that you need to really nail if you want to sell your project to grant funding bodies. And as I said, it is persuasive writing. It is a piece of persuasive writing that you are doing when you are writing a grant application. You've got to make sure that you are putting in a bit of a sales pitch. That doesn't mean that the whole application is a sales pitch and the whole thing talks about the benefits and how wonderful this project will be. You also actually have to answer the question and you have to actually give the detail. So if they're asking you what stakeholders you've consulted with or what the budget is, don't go talking about the benefits of the project, talk about the budget. If they're asking you what you will do, actually what the project is, explain what the project is, not just the benefits. But keep in mind, it is a persuasive piece of writing. Use their language, nail their objectives, and you will be selling your project to the grant funding bodies. So if there are no questions, I didn't have any questions come through via email this time. You can send your questions through via email, through Messenger, through LinkedIn to me as well. If you've got questions that you want me to answer in these Q&As, even if you're not going to be able to make the Q&A, that's not a problem. If you send the questions through, I can answer them on the Q&A and you can watch it on the rerun. So anytime you've got any questions about grants that you want me to cover, likewise, if you've got a topic. So we haven't done one of these on tenders yet. We've done quite a few Q&As on grants. So maybe it might be time to do a Q&A on tenders perhaps, or business cases. Let me know if you have a preference, if there's something that you want me to cover in these Q&As. Flick me a message on Facebook or send me an email, tara@whitneyconsulting.com.au, and you can always get me through the website whitneyconsulting.com.au, which is WHITNEY. So thanks for joining us. If you have any questions after you hop off, again, just send me a message and we can always cover it. We do a Q&A once every 2 months. So if you've got a topic that you want me to talk about, just let me know. Thanks, everybody.